You tuned in to the Soulful Conversations podcast, featuring a panel of life coaches and spiritual leaders from around the world discussing how to handle some of life's greatest challenges. We will be sharing stories of courage, hope, and inspiration with you, our faithful listeners, to live your happiest and most fulfilling life, full of purpose and passion for yourself, your families, and the world. We are here to be the change we wish to see. Let the conversation begin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Soulful Conversations, where we talk about everything love and light. Today, we have some amazing guests that's going to share their wisdom and knowledge around self-love. So I'm going to let each one of you introduce yourself, and let's get this conversation started.
Awesome. Laura, let's start with you.
Hi, everyone. Well, of course, I am always honored to be a part of everything and anything that you kind of grant me the opportunity to be with you guys. So thank you. Very much appreciate that. Quickly, I am Laura Brennan Ballet. I am an ambassador of life empowerment. I am the author of The Science of Empowerment, and I am beginning to speak globally as a thought leader and an empowerment facilitator to really bring an awareness around not just empowering ourselves in like a fluffy kind of way, but truly connecting with one another. So I feel, perfect topic for today, self-love. I'm learning to express this out to other people, that self-love, without it, we will absolutely not be at our highest and best for others. So I am learning how to go deeper in what love feels like and looks like for myself, so that when I am connecting with others, it is really empowering. So I am very excited to be here and to join in on this amazing conversation. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura.
Latoya, would you like to go next?
Yes, I will go next. My name is Toya Bond, and I have a podcast called Speaking of Love. My podcast is dedicated to the memory of my dad, who took his own life in a murder-suicide. Aside from that, I am a business owner. I have a home-based business. I am also a legal professional during my 9-to-5 day, and I am a person who operates her entire life on the premise of spreading love. It's the secret to my success. It's the secret to my longevity on this earth. And it's what keeps us going, because love is the thing that makes all things beautiful. So that's why I'm here today to talk about my favorite subject in the whole wide world, and that's love.
Thank you so much. That's one of the reasons we asked you specifically for this episode. Kurt, welcome.
Oh, thank you again for having me. As always, I feel blessed that you allow me to be part of this. I always feel like you tell me how I bring so much to the table, but I always feel like I get so much more than whatever I might bring from being here with you guys. So I really appreciate it. I'm Kurt Powers, and I've been a personal trainer for over 30 years. And in the process of training people throughout those years, I've always wanted to help people to understand that what the process that they're going through with training their bodies so that they can look better and feel better is just the beginning, that what we do for the inside matters more than what we do for the outside. And so I created a course about self-love and sharing my journey and how I became someone who didn't love myself at all to somebody who I love myself unconditionally. And it's a process. It's not something where you just wake up one day and go, oh, I love myself unconditionally. And so I'm looking forward to being able to talk about love and be in a room full of women who are full of love and all about sharing that love. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Kurt. Can we just start out with, I think that there's a very neat little thing. Could everybody just place their hands together, just clasp your hands together like this? And then notice which thumb you have on top. Okay, now do it again with the other thumb on top. Feels weird, huh? Almost feels like it's wrong, but keep doing that. change them out, go back and forth, and then go back. And then eventually it doesn't feel just as weird or as wrong, right? So that's how it is when we try to learn new things. It feels weird at first, but if we practice, then we get better with it at time.
Oh, that was really powerful, Stephanie. Thank you for that. And it did feel very uncomfortable doing it the opposite way. You know, when we talk about self-love all the time, because, you know, we can't put what we want out into the world unless we love ourselves first. And that was always an oxymoron, or like something that I couldn't wrap my head around. You know, on the plane, and they're telling you, you know, put your mask on before you put it on your children. And I still, to this day, I'm like, nope, it's going on my kids first. So I clearly have a little bit of work to do, but I wanted to start it off with this conversation with this quote. It's from Mahatma Gandhi. I love this quote. He said, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. And I think we can say the same thing about loving yourselves. If we want to put love out into the world, we have to love ourselves first. And I want to talk about what that means to each of you, because, you know, some people can say, you know, that's arrogant, that's self-centered, that's narcissistic, but we don't mean it in that way. And I want to talk about the healthy self-love and what that looks like. So I'm just gonna go with Laura. You want to start us off?
Yeah, so thank you. I love the idea also what Kurt was saying. I'm a neuromuscular body trainer. My brother is a former USA Olympic gymnastics coach. And this is where we started all the mindset work years ago. So I love that. We kind of have that in common. I personally can speak to this because I do think, not even as women, just as humans, we tend to think when we are in service of ourselves, that somehow we are being egoic, or we're being self-centered, or again, self-serving. But there's a frequency, there's an energy about being in service for self, so that when we are connecting to others, we then have this authenticity of exchange. So if I try to help anyone else, but I have not lived through it, or I don't have compassion for it, which starts with me, I would be very unauthentic in my time with you. I would just be either talking someone else's knowledge or sharing what someone else told me, rather than having this beautiful exchange of energy, of frequency, of vibration, of what it is to love yourself. And I struggled with this for a long time, because people will say, whether you look a certain way, or your house is a certain way, or you dress a certain way, whatever they judge you on, and they think, oh, everything is either perfect or everything comes to you so easily. And I realized, like, wow, people really don't know how hard we work at the challenges to be our highest and best self. So for me, self-love leads to the love of others. That's how I look at it. And that's what I try to express out into the world. And I'm learning what that flow of self-love feels like for me. And I do find that the more I love myself and take care of myself, the better I am for others around me. Family, of course, starting first, and then our communities, our friendships. So I really think there's a beautiful alchemy and a beautiful journey about self-love, that we can really help others feel free to love thyself, because then we can really love each other.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Stephanie, did you want to chime in on that?
Oh, I'm just listening, and I see agreeing. She's most definitely right.
LaToya, would you like to chime in?
Yes, I totally agree with you. The greatest path to self-love, in my opinion, is doing things that make yourself proud, making yourself proud of you. And in being proud of yourself comes a sense of love. And with that love comes a sense of accomplishments, so that when you feel as if I can conquer the world, but I can't do it by myself. And I know that for me, one way of developing self-love is by doing the things that I love to do, doing things that make me proud of me. So in those moments when I feel elevated by my achievements, big or small, whether it's baking a cake and it comes out beautifully, or whether it's completing a high school degree or college degree, no matter what the task is, in giving my best and achieving those goals, it comes a little bit of self-love for me, knowing that I have taken the steps to achieve that goal. And in the process of that, I can go out into the world and share that love confidently because I myself feel love for me.
Nice.
Beautiful. Kurt is shaking his head.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with her 100%. Like what she said about as far as being happy for herself and achieving these things, that she deserves these things. That's so important for people to understand, because it's easy for us to project that love, and I want to specify what I mean here. It's easy to project that love onto others that we consider that we love, whether it be our children, our family, or friends, or whoever it may be. It's important to understand that if you don't give yourself that love, because I can tell you, no matter who you talk to, if you tell someone, if you don't love yourself, then it's impossible for you to love others. And they'll say, no, it's not, because I love my children. I know I love my children. You can't tell me I don't love my children. And I say, do you love your children to the point that you really could if you put yourself first and learn to love yourself first? Because it's the whole image of a cup. You know, if you're helping people out and your cup is empty, you don't have a whole lot to give. But when your cup runneth over, now you have an abundance that you can give, because as Laura said, now this is an experience that you've had yourself. You're not coming from some story that you heard. You're helping people from your own personal experience that you can share and say, this is my story. This is what happened to me. And that's so much more powerful than relating some story that you heard third party, you know. So kudos to both of you, what you said about it. So I agree wholeheartedly.
You know, Kurt, what you said, I'm sorry, Steph, but what you said, I wrote it down. Being deserving of something does not mean we're entitled to it. And I think that there's a difference. And that is also like one of the things we need to wrap our head around with. Just because we're deserving of it doesn't mean we're entitled. Right. And the other thing I wanted to add on, when Laura was talking, it reminded me of, you know, when I didn't love myself, and still it's a work in process. I still have got some ways to go there, but you know, like when somebody would say something, whether it was my kids or just somebody in, you know, around me, I would take it like to my heart. It would hurt my feelings and I get upset or like wounded. And now loving myself more, it's easier for me to say, it's okay. It's okay that you think that, because I know who I am. I love who I am. And that makes any barb that gets thrown at me, like there's an armor that I now have, because I love me. And so you can't hurt me with your words or your thoughts or your opinions of me. And I think that that was like the best thing to come out of this journey, is like being okay with no matter what anybody's opinion is, knowing who I am. And that's part of the self-love. Steph.
Yes, I was just going to say, you know, Latoya, that's awesome that you can celebrate your wins and notice that your accomplishments, because a lot of times, like Kurt said too, we can give those compliments and that love to others, but what are we saying in our own head? Mm-hmm. You know, the thoughts that we're saying to ourselves. And so that's just something to be aware of, to notice that, you know, we can build ourselves up or we can beat ourselves up. Either way, it's our choice.
Yes, you're correct about that. And I think that it's so important for us to do things that we can feel proud of. I mean, just imagine living a life, walking on the planet Earth, and never having anything that you can really be proud of. And I think in developing those skill sets and doing things to accomplish your goals, there comes a little bit of self-love with that. And that's important.
I think there comes a lot of self-love with that. And here's the thing. How many times have you told people that you love in your life, whether again, it be family, friends, children, whoever it might be, how many times have you told them, you can be whatever you want to be, you can do whatever you want to do? And yet when it comes to yourself, what happens?
Yeah.
Self-doubt starts setting in, and you go, so you have to ask yourself, why is it everyone I know can do and be whatever they want to be except me? That's self-love, is realizing that you're as good as anyone else and you deserve, again, and to Dawn's credit, you know, there's a distinction between deserving and entitlement. There's a difference. In fact, I would argue that the difference of self-love is narcissism. those are the polar opposites. You can't be narcissistic when you love yourself. It's not possible. And so it's important that we, especially with us, I believe, for us to get our message out, it's very important that we're very precise in our wording, because people will take things out of context or misunderstand if we aren't precise. And it's important for us to be able to go back when someone says, well, you said, and I go, no, that's not what I said. Here's exactly what I said. So that way we can make our message clear to those who need to hear it. Because, the truth of the matter is it's on us as the speaker to make sure that we get our message out there clearly to the people who need to hear it and want to hear it.
Yeah.
And if I may jump in for a moment, I've been practicing really looking at the individual as a reflective mechanism, right? And I write about this in the Science of Empowerment, so that if rather than look at things in a judgmental way against self, I really try to tap in. And Dawn, what you were saying, like before, if someone said something in a certain way and we would feel the wound energy of it. And now instead I'm looking at almost my inner being. And to Kurt, your point, if we all look at one another, where we have the outside shell, right? Our physicality, our human condition, but somewhere inside of us, there is unity. We really are made up of all of the same things. What are the arrows that come shooting at us that cause all this issue of not loving self, not loving others? And how do we, as thought leaders, really global thought leaders, create this message so it is okay for people to not feel arrogant or not feel entitled when we want to say, I have a fabulous life. I'm beautiful. You're beautiful. My life is beautiful, or it's fulfilling. And other people don't look at you and be like, well, what do you mean? Well, what about that? Or what about that? So I think it really is important to express that. For me, I really believe it's our destiny to learn how to love self. I think it's the evolutionary journey that we are here for, because only then, and I know I'm going to keep repeating it, but I'm living this out now, I'm really practicing this. Can you look at someone else and take away all of it? Color of hair, skin, texture, how we dress, where we've been educated. None of it really matters. If it really came down to survival, it would be about compassion, vulnerability, and helping one another. And how would we do that? From that mechanism of love. It's just, we came into this world with it, even if we've all had some rocky, beginnings or conditions, and we've gone through experiences. Keep reminding our listeners, self-love is the universal knowing. It's filled with knowledge. And I think it opens up the pathway to really learn how to love one another. So when we are in a situation and we're feeling like we're judging or we're projecting or we're feeling something, for me, that's that inner being trying to connect again. Hello, I'm in here. It's okay. I've got you. And therefore, we have someone else.
I wanted to leave our listeners with some, or tell them about how does that look? What does that look like? What are some things that are showing self-love? And I thought of a couple, saying no, learning how to say no, not always people pleasing, like setting boundaries, and, and asking yourself, who do I choose to be? When you can look at yourself and ask yourself, who do I choose to be, and choose love. That is, I think, the highest expression of self-love. I'm sure you guys have your own ideas of like different things that looks like. So let people know what that looks like to you.
Well, I would just say too, not comparing ourselves with others. I love the quote that no one can be a better you than you.
Yeah.
We are all here for a special gift that no one else in this world has. No one else talks like me, acts like me, has the personality as me. No one has my thumbprint or yours. And so I think that when we can fully understand that, that's when we can learn to love and appreciate everything there is about us. Whether we have breakouts, whether we have, we're not good enough or feel good enough, we can look in the mirror and say, I love you just the way you are. You're perfect just the way you are. And when we can fully feel that, then our cup can overflow. And as we've all said, then we're able to be a better person to our family, our friends, our clients, and anyone else that we come into contact with.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Another form of self-love is allowing others to love on us. I know a lot of times with people, for my dad, like my dad, for example, my father passed away in a murder-suicide. He murdered his wife moments before taking his own life. And my father was a man who had a lot of love around him. His wife loved him. She supported him. He had me, his oldest daughter. I loved him. But there was a lack of love within him where he wasn't able to receive all of the love that was around him. So if you're not receptive to letting love come in, that's a form of not having self-love in essence. So my message today is, if you have a person in your life who's giving you love, who's supporting you, whatever block you have that's stopping you from receiving that love, slowly try to tear that wall down, because loving yourself means allowing others to love you too. You're worthy of that. You are.
Beautiful.
And that's life transformative right there, what you said. Maybe with all the beauty and genius and brilliance here, there might be a way to, how could we help someone that maybe has that block, that resistance, or someone that's suffering great contrast to self-love? How could we help them, maybe move a little bit closer to what self-love may feel like for them?
Kurt,
Yeah.
do you have some good ideas on that?
I'm sorry, did you say me, or I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yeah, I asked you, Kurt, because
Yeah.
I feel like the one thing I'm going to just say is the process. I think we always have to remember it's a process. It's like one day we don't go from here and then all of a sudden now we self-love. So it's an
Right.
ongoing process. That's what I want to add. But Kurt, I know you've got great insights here.
Well, I would say it's very much like working out. I tell people, if I give you a workout plan, okay, and I say, if you want to build bigger arms, these are the exercises you do to build bigger arms. And the people, and someone reads about it, well, if all they do is read about it, it's not going to build bigger arms. So if you don't do the exercises I give you, it's not going to happen. But even if you do the exercises, you're not going to get bigger arms after your first workout. You might get sore, but you're not going to get bigger. You're just going to get sore. So it's a process, as you said. The more you work out, the bigger you get, the stronger you get, and it's a lifelong thing. You don't, because as soon as you stop, I promise you, stop for a week and you'll find out that it doesn't take very long before the muscles start getting smaller and you start getting weaker. So you must always work out in order to keep your body in shape. Well, self-love is the same way. The more you do it, the stronger it becomes. You don't go from not loving yourself to loving yourself unconditionally overnight just because you decided that's what you were going to do. And I think sometimes, for me, what self-love is being honest with yourself, because we're not perfect. And we can say, I love myself no matter where I'm at in my life. And that's what we should say. But we should also be honest with ourselves to know that if our actions aren't congruent with our words, we need to line those up. So if I say I love myself, for instance, but I don't do anything to take care of my body, and all I do is eat ho-hos and ding-dongs and watch, Netflix, until my eyeballs fall out of my head, obviously I'm not taking care of myself. So my words are not congruent with my actions. What I can say is, I'm overweight. I still love myself. But where am I going to go? If I really love myself, what am I going to do from this point on? Am I going to start working towards getting in shape? Do I love myself enough to get in shape and care about my health? So, your words and your actions have to line up. And honesty it's the bedrock of everything when it comes down to self-love. Without it, you might as well not even waste your time, because as long as you're going to be dishonest with yourself, you're always going to be dishonest with everyone else. that doesn't mean you'll always lie, but you're not going to be truthful about what you are to the people around you.
Nice.
That's very right. And I would also just like to say self-discipline. A form of self-care and self-love is also self-discipline. If I'm going to take care of my body and I want to go run a mile today, and then I don't do that, and I'm going to beat myself up because I didn't do that. But if I push myself, if I know the outcome of what I'm going to get from it, and I force myself through it, then I feel better. Then I can love myself, be proud of that. So I think that also, self-discipline is very important too, that we have that within ourselves.
Yeah,
Right. And Stephanie, from something you said earlier, it's not about comparing ourselves to others. It's about comparing ourselves to the person we were yesterday. So if you said, look, I'm going to run a mile today. Well, if you haven't run a mile in 30 years, you're probably not going to make that mile, at least not for a few hours. At least that would be the case with me. So the important thing is that you take that step and that you go, I didn't make it a mile. I made it a quarter of a mile. And I don't care if the next time I run, if I make it a quarter mile, one step, that's all I care about, is making one more step better than I did last time I did it. And I think that's where we mark our progress, and not beat ourselves up if we fall short of what we set goals. Because sometimes humans, we think we can do it. We can pull off a lot more than what we really can. Especially if we haven't done it for a long time, we forget the pain that comes with doing these things. So, and we should probably try to keep that in mind.
Well, I think, Kurt, what you just said, I'm sorry for interrupting, but what you just said about the self-talk, we beat ourselves up if we didn't do it. And I think that's another thing to help get us to self-love, is watch our self-talk. I started catching myself when I thought, I would never speak that way to my daughters. I would never speak that way to my daughters. Why do I speak that way to myself? And so when I start going down that, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this again, stop it. You would never speak that way to other people. So we have to be really mindful about the words that we're using to us.
I was just thinking too, when Kurt was talking, and everyone, all this just amazing and empowering wisdom and really heartfelt messaging that we care. The contrast, use the contrast to motivate, right? The momentum. So even if someone's listening and they're in, we're going to say, a negative space, whatever that may be, because everyone reads a challenge very different. Try to look at it as if it's in place to motivate, to stir something up in you. So don't look at it as a weight, a discouragement, right? It's not in place to bring you down. It's actually in place as a mechanism, an observation of some part of me can rise to that level. And as Kurt said, not right now, right? We have to slowly start and build up momentum. But I know I teach us a lot with the science of empowerment. We use the contrast of negativity to start to neutralize the energy and the frequency of that experience, to then slowly move more into a positive state. So don't look at what's going on in your life as it's not there forever. It doesn't have to stay cemented into your journey. It maybe is only there as a mechanism for you to just notice and then do something super cool, super powerful about. You have that in you. You really do. And I am wanting to say to the listening audience, regardless of your conditions, you have what it takes to move from that present state of thinking and of physical condition. You have it. You're genius and you're beautiful. And regardless of what anyone is telling you or what's happening, you've got what it takes to really rise to the next level and be that example and go out into the world and say, this is what I did. And again, this is about loving self, because when you can tap into that ability and that human potential and know it, even if you doubt it, I want to tell you, just know it, click into it, lock into it. I'm hearing our voices. We all know we've all had some pretty heavy challenges. You can move through them, and you can feel what that is to love yourself and bring that out into the world.
Yes. And, I just want to add one more thing, to that we can either again, build ourselves up or break ourselves down. Just say, for instance, that a relationship ends and we found out that our partner was cheating on us. Then we could say in our head, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not this, I'm not that. Or we can tell ourselves, well, I kind of seen that was coming. And, maybe there's a better relationship waiting for me. It depends on what we choose to tell ourselves. And then when you tell yourself that thing, you will feel a feeling in your body. The same way as if you think of a lemon and you think of this big, fat, juicy lemon, and you're going to cut it open and you're going to put that to what does that make you do? It makes your mouth secrete more saliva, just the thought of that lemon. So this is what is so important. Like Dawn said, if we can notice what we're noticing, notice those thoughts, and then change that to something more self-serving, self-deserving, then we can live a much more happier, peaceful life.
Nice. Very nice.
And I like what you said, Stephanie, too, about looking in the past and the mistakes. Another form of self-love is letting go of the mistakes of the past. Let's not beat ourselves up for the rest of our lives, as Stephanie mentioned, for marrying the wrong guy and going the rest of your years regretting. You have to let it go at some point, not right away. It takes time, but just let it go and just know that you're human. You did what was best for you at that moment in time in life, but that you don't have to be a victim of your past mistakes forever. It's not fair to you. So in loving yourself, love yourself enough to say, okay, I made a mistake. I did this, I did that, but I'm stepping out of that. I'm stepping out of that history to make a new pathway for now because I love me.
Nice.
Yes. Forgive yourself.
Forgiveness. It's forgiveness. I liken it to, when we were little, if we stole a cookie that we weren't supposed to have for some reason, now as an adult person, somebody's going to hold that against us. Well, you stole a cookie when you were 5, so I'm not really sure about you. No, we learn and we grow and we learn from our mistakes. And I think that's like, learning to forgive ourselves again is part of self-love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like when we were babies, when you were a little bitty baby and you were born into this world, we didn't say, oh, are my hips too big? Is my hair short or long enough? We didn't judge ourselves. We loved ourselves unconditionally. And that's what we need to get back to as adults.
And loved everyone else, right, that we played with. And right, we could get together and drop our kids in a room and go have a cup of tea together. And even if they had a little like, I want that toy. No, I want that toy kind of thing. If you left them alone, they had the ability to work it out. I did a little of like a beta test on this when I was creating the book, because I was like, where did that go? What happened? And there is a certain point in the wiring of the brain where we become like these walking algorithms of everyone else's thoughts and their choices and what they think we should be doing. And I really love that, trying to help the global community get back to almost that childlike innocence and playfulness around each other. And everyone has something so beautiful to contribute. And for those who maybe feel that they don't, again, we're here to tell you, yes, you do. Let this be that beginning of finding what that journey looks like for yourself. Everyone has something amazing to contribute. Everyone.
Don't go anywhere. The Soulful Conversations will be right back after this important message. Meet Dawn Earhart Witte, loving mom, author, international speaker, humanitarian, certified life coach, podcast host, and founder of the Beeline Products that offers life-saving support of impoverished children around the world by way of beautiful and extremely well-made inspirational merchandise, including lovely t-shirts, pillows, coffee mugs, soft warm throws, totes, jewelry, all natural skincare products, fragrances, and many more wonderful items that make great gifts as well as keepsakes. The best part of all is that $7 of every item purchased will help empower and lift children around the world so they may live their happiest and most fulfilling lives filled with meaning, kindness, and love. To support this amazing organization and purchase an item for yourself or a gift for a loved one, please visit thebelineproducts.com today. Thank you.
And I really love that. Trying to help the global community get back to almost that childlike innocence and playfulness around each other. And everyone has something so beautiful to contribute. And for those who maybe feel that they don't, again, we're here to tell you, yes, you do. Let this be that beginning of finding what that journey looks like for yourself. Everyone has something amazing to contribute. Everyone.
Yeah, and being able to share those feelings too, going back to that childhood, when a baby was upset, it'll scream and cry. It wants mama's love and mama's attention. We need to be able to speak out, speak our truth as well.
Strength through vulnerability.
Yes, definitely. Another form of self-love too is just sometimes saying yes to the things you love. Go treat yourself to a nice movie, or go get the pedicure that you've been wanting to get. Focus on you. Have a mental health day. I know with my job, I have all these personal hours, sick day hours that I have to take by the end of June. And I'm like, I don't know if I want to take that many days off. But you know what? I need that. They gave those to me for a reason. So sometimes saying yes to you is saying, I love you.
Love that.
That's
Love that.
beautiful. It is. It's like that trip that you've been, I've always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to do it. You know what? Do it. Like, give yourself the permission to do it, because if it's something you've always wanted to do, that is something calling within your soul. And so, yeah, say yes to yourself. I love that, LaToya.
Yeah.
John, can I take over just for a second? I'm sorry I even asked that, being the only male on here. It's like, that's what men do. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I wanted to hit on a couple things. First off, with Stephanie, when she talked about marrying the wrong person, one of the things that I share with people is that when you love yourself, you stop dating or marrying the wrong kind of people. You start understanding what, and in fact, you'll look back and go, what did I ever see? Like, why did I ever marry that person or date that person? And when you love yourself, you start expecting better for yourself, because you deserve better. And you start looking for like-minded people. And what happens is what's the word I'm looking for? The things that matter to you most, they're important, change. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter how much that person makes, or whether they have what kind of car they drive, or what kind of career they have, or if they own 10 homes or whatever. You want to know about them. Who are they? What do they love? What are their passions? What are they giving? Are they compassionate and caring people? Do they treat waiters like crap? Like, do they put their carts back when they go to the grocery store? Those are the kind of things I look for in a person. Like, who are you inside? I could care less now about whether or not you're rich or poor or whatever. I want to know who you are as a person. So when we love ourselves, that begins to take place. LaToya, I think it sounds like she could have wrote my 10 steps to self-love, because she's already named all 3 of them. I was like, well, I guess she's definitely got it because she just named all 3 of them, these are important steps. Like, these are all part of learning to love yourself and getting to that point where you can love yourself unconditionally. And with Laura, I wanted to talk about the programming, because she said, what do we do to show people, how to love themselves? And so we can say, well, this is a step I went through. This is how, and share with them. And that's going to be powerful. But what we need to do is show them how they can do it. And so what we need to do is explain, the steps that we took, or what we are aware of. So that they know that they can make it there too, that it's not like we're special and that we did it. So, because we're special people, but anyone can do this if they understand. One of the things I start off with is when I share my stories, I'm a hypnotherapist. And so one of the things that I learned as a hypnotherapist is that the majority of our programming is ingrained in us by the time we're 7 to 8 years of age. Okay. Over 70% of that programming is negative. So we've been programmed not to love ourselves. We've been told that's narcissistic. We've been told that that's selfishness. So does it surprise anybody when we grow up as adults and we act like, oh, we can't love ourselves, because that's what we were taught, and that's the programming that's in our subconscious mind. And so one of the things I like for people to do is to challenge their beliefs. Write your beliefs down that you have about life, that you have about yourself, and see if what your beliefs are, if they actually are working for you or working against you. And the ones that you find are working against you, we can change those beliefs. That's the thing. You change your beliefs, you change your perception, you change your world. It works like that. And I think when we can get that across to people, I think that's the best gift we can give them, because now we've shown them this is why you're the way you are. It's why I'm the way I was. It's why everyone is the way they are, is because this is something that was brought up in our childhood, and it can be remedied. So
Absolutely.
thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. The value, what do we value? And where do those beliefs and the values either contradict one another also, too. Something really cool that I do with my coaching is we have a formula, and it's 5 principles, and I run it through everything in my life: awareness, willingness, accountability, critical thinking, and energy. And everywhere that anyone I've ever been with, that we run through this, it's amazing what happens within a few seconds. So it's the same thing. Giving people, again, modalities, healing mechanisms. You can apply it to anything. And as Dawn was saying too, that awareness is so key to so much. And then, when you have that awareness, now what are you willing to do about it? And then the accountability to what you will or won't do, because going back to beliefs or what's ingrained in us, well, I'll just use that example. My grandfather was an alcoholic. My father was an alcoholic. Well, this is why I'm an alcoholic, right? So this willingness and this accountability to, I now can change. I don't have to follow that pattern, that negative pattern in life. And I love the principle of critical thinking, where it's really a mechanism without emotion, not meaning the not compassionate aspect of being human, but not letting the emotionality completely run away from us, really using positive intelligence to evolve, to advance how we're moving through this belief system or what we value. And then certainly energy. It's what we teach all of our athletes and everything: negative, positive, neutral. Which one are you? And all back to all of your beautiful wisdom. We cannot go from negative to positive in the snap of a finger. The process and the momentum of how we really integrate new thought, right? New wiring. I teach all my clients, like, you're an architect. You can redesign the architecture of your mind. We have that ability to change thought, to change pattern, to recalibrate all of what we've been through. Not saying it's always perfect and that it's not challenging, but we all have that ability to really, as Latoya has said too, honor the past, but then let it go. And we all have ways that we can really move on from letting that anchor us into the system of repetitiveness. We all have the genius and the ability to really go forward into what empowerment looks like.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
I
process.
think too, when we stand on that and we really truly do love ourselves, then we can control our own emotions. And that is a number one key in life. When we can control our own emotions and not let what anything else around us, our circumstance, our people, control how we are or who we are or who we show up in this world, that's where we take our power back.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
May I ask, Latoya, may I ask you a question? And if you don't want to answer because it's too personal, I completely understand. but were you at a point where you loved yourself before your father took his life, or did that come after?
I would probably say after his death, I started to love and appreciate me more. Yeah.
Okay, so if I may, and again, if this is too personal, I completely understand. I apologize.
No,
I
you're
kind
fine. It's
I
okay.
kind of, how did you feel when your father took his life? Like, what were your thoughts? What were your feelings at that point in time?
Well, when I first received the phone call, I was in disbelief. I was shocked. But then I became angry because he took his wife along with him. That really was horrible. But then I started becoming plagued with a lot of regrets. You know, why didn't I answer his phone call 2 weeks ago? Why did I get upset with him because he didn't come to my daughter's graduation? I just started beating myself up. Why didn't I see the warning signs, the humor that he had, the jokes that he cracked? Why didn't I catch it? He talked about jumping off of a bridge, and we laughed about it like it was a joke. So I dealt with a lot of, and I still do, I deal with a lot of regrets. So, it was multiple feelings in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, so what would you say was the catalyst that got you from the way you felt, after your father had taken his life and you weren't there where you loved yourself? What was the catalyst that catapulted you into this point where you loved yourself?
Because I didn't want to be like him. I didn't want to commit suicide. I didn't want to live a life of darkness that's so horrible that I didn't want to live on the earth anymore. So that's when I started working hard to change my thoughts of me and start loving myself, because I don't want to be like my dad.
So would you say, since you've gotten to this point where you love yourself, do you see things differently? I know you said you still have some regrets.
Mhm.
Beyond that, would you say that the way you view things now has changed for the
Oh
better?
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
totally. Yeah. Yes, I see the world differently now. My viewpoint of life is very precious, is very sacred. I try not to take anything for granted anymore.
And so this was a choice on your part. Would that be accurate to say that you just said, look, I don't want to end up like this. I'm
Mhm.
making a choice to do better for myself. And I think that's what it comes down to, that we convey to people. We have the power. No one has power over us except us and whoever we choose to give it to. So everything that we do is a choice. LaToya chose, I want to have a better life than this. I don't want this to be me. I don't want to turn out like this. And I think when we can convey that kind of message to the people that we want to help, I'm going to tell you, Stephanie, the last time I was on the show with you, I had a woman whose son had taken his life, who was a dear, dear friend of mine. And I went through what LaToya went through. I had some regrets because he would always call me. And there was one day where I wasn't available, and 2 days later he had taken his life. And so, that's part of, again, that progression of loving yourself. It's, as we've all said here, it's a process. So that regret will begin to wane as you continue to love yourself. But Stephanie, I gave her your the information for your book, and she couldn't stop thanking me enough. So and that just goes to show, all of us come here to this point where we're not the same people we were years ago. And because of that, we have no idea the number of people that we affect and that we can help. And that's the same way with people that we help. They're going to go on to help other people, and they're not going to have any idea how many people they help along the way. And so it's just one of those things where it's like it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Well, just like Stephanie says, she wants to be the person she wished she had as she was going through her troubled times. And I think, I always look at that, like, I want to be the friend that I wish I had. I want to be the mom that I wish I had. And so that's how, I live my life. And speaking of friends, I think that's another one of those gifts we can give ourselves, is surrounding ourselves with people who love us and celebrate us and cheer, celebrate our wins, cheer us on, support us. Since I've had this circle, you guys are part of that circle, the voices in my head are a lot nicer. The way I speak to myself are a lot nicer, because Stephanie literally will not allow me to speak negatively about myself. So surrounding yourself with people who will not let you talk bad about yourself is another way of helping you to learn to love yourself.
Most definitely.
And I think go ahead, Steph, sorry.
I was just going to say, find your tribe. And on those days when we don't feel strong enough to do it on our own, reach out. Yeah. Reach out to your friends, your family, a support group, anywhere, your church people. There's always someone there that can help you get you back on track.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a contact number for all over the globe where people call me. And I'll pick up and I'll just do what I can, because that's what I've gotten from you, even from the first time with Dawn and Steph, when that original, like back when I met, I've reached out to Dawn. We don't hang out. We don't see each other. We live on opposite coasts, but I was going through something, just hearing her words, just that little bit, knowing that soul sister connection, soul brother connection, that unity of I've got you, I understand, I'm here. And that's really important. And again, for the people maybe that don't feel that or don't have a connection to a tribe, then we can become that for someone. We can be a point of connectivity for those listening, that there is someone out there and you don't have to be right near each other. It's a line of connectivity that I think crisscrosses the globe. And so there are people that love you and care about you and really want the best for you.
They do. And, even if you don't believe it at first, even if like, oh, no. If you have, 2 or more people say the same thing, it's true.
Yeah, definitely.
Remember when we spoke the last time and we talked about, Stephanie, you talked about it, and Dawn, I think you said something about it too, that when someone passed away that you loved, you felt their spirit there. You felt like they were, that they were in the room with you at times. And I told you, I said, a lot of times when people go, they get mad and they get angry and go, I've never felt that. And remember, I told you, I said, if you're not in the mindset and where you're accepting of that, you're not going to receive that message. So like LaToya was saying, you've got to be able to accept love, not just give it. You have to be able to accept it and realize there are people out there who love you. And yet, if you don't allow them to give you that love, you're going to go, oh, nobody loves me. Well, open yourself up. And that's, again, and here's the one thing I would tell people who do what we do. Be honest with the people you're talking to. I don't coddle anybody. I'm not mean, but I don't coddle anyone. If someone tells me they love themselves and I see them they hang around a bunch of people who talk negatively about them and they allow them to do it, I go, no, you don't. And I will call them out. I'll call them out in a second, because they need to understand that if they love themselves, they wouldn't allow these things to happen. So the fake it till you make it. I'm all about that, but you have to make it. In this generation, I swear, and I'm not just saying this younger generation, I'm saying all of us in this day and age, I should say, so many of us have gotten into this habit of faking it till you make it, but no one gets to the make it stage. They just keep continuing to fake it because it's easier. And it's easier to fake it and not actually do the hard work that it takes, because it is, it's simple, but it's hard. Simple things are usually hard, and people mistake that often.
If it was easy, everybody would do it, right?
Exactly.
And even change. So where we train, we would say, use the word challenging, right? Because challenging at least feels like you could gain some movement and momentum up. Sometimes, like we don't allow in our facility, there's no, I can't, it's hard, it's difficult. Not everyone knows when they walk in, I've got this, I'll work towards it. What a great challenge. And you'll be amazed at, again, back to Dawn too, and all of us, that self-talk, just constantly reminding ourselves that somehow we've got what it takes to move from a specific thought or feeling wherever it came from, whatever the experience was, we can give ourselves love and time, but let it go and really create something amazing going forward, not only for ourselves, but for one another.
Thank you, Laura. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you. This has been, again, another amazing conversation. It always is whenever I get the opportunity to speak with you. I'm going to let everybody say their final words and, for the show. And, if anybody resonated with you, please reach out to them. These are all amazing people who do have your back, and they have gone through things, and they do see life in a more beautiful way. And we are here to be of service to others, so we could be the person that we wished we had when we were going through those things. And if you would like to be part of our show, sponsor our show, send us an email, contact us, because we'd love to hear from you anywhere you are in the world. This is a global movement. So LaToya, I'll let you final thoughts, and then Stephanie, you can end.
My final thoughts would be self-love it's an occupation, a lifelong occupation. And it's something that you may have in the month of May and June and July, but as you get towards November, the self-love can tend to fade away if you don't nurture it. So make sure that you stay in contact with yourself, stay connected to your love, and just know that you are beautiful, and love is the thing that makes all things beautiful. I wouldn't feel right here today. I am an advocate for suicide prevention and awareness. And if there's any person listening, please, if you're feeling suicidal, if you have thoughts of a lack of self-love, there's help for you. You can call 1-800-273-TALK. That's the suicide prevention hotline, 1-800-273-TALK. Or you can reach out to me. My name is LaToya. That's LA space capital TOYA. My first name is separated, so it's LaToya, and my last name is Bond, like James Bond. So you can.
She's a Bond girl.
Yes, Bond girl. So you can reach out to me. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and I am just here to spread God's love. I wish that there had been a podcast like where I am right now that my dad could have watched or listened to the day before the tragic event. So thank you all for this amazing opportunity. And I love you all. Thank you.
Thank you, LaToya. We love you too. Laura?
Yes, well, to Stephanie, my heart is always with you through your journey, and you just always inspire me of the courage, the bravery, and the love that you carry with you. It's just amazing. Dawn, powerhouse. I consider you, again, a soul sister, forever grateful of our connection. I love that you offer all of this for others. LaToya, I'm reaching out to you. You are a cool cat. I love you too. Sorry for what you went through, but the way that you are moving through the transition of the experience, and you're just beautiful. You can feel it and see it. So I'm sorry for the loss, but I think what you've gained from it is helping others immensely. Kurt, brother from another mother. I think if we got together and talked about the mindset and the training and the body, absolutely the wisdom of what you had. So I'm grateful to just be a part of this. And of course, anyone that wants any help of really authentic empowerment, I'm going to go from that perspective. The scienceofempowerment.com, the book, speaking engagements, all of it. And even if a one-on-one, I give free consultations. I am open. So please, if you are out there and you feel that you need someone to spark that knowing, that birthright knowing of your greatness, of your brilliance, of your beauty. If no one else has ever seen it, I do. And if you need me to speak that to you, I will. So Godspeed, everyone. Live your highest and best. And thank you for this opportunity.
Oh, Laura, that's so beautiful. Kurt?
Again, thank you for having me on. I get so much out of this, and I can't think of a better way than to spend my Sunday with so many positive people, and just that have such big hearts, and it makes you continue to believe in humanity. So when times look tough and it looks like the world's falling apart, and I see women like you and I go, no, it really isn't. There's a lot of good people out there, and in your service to others is admirable. So I really appreciate it. One of the things I'd like to say to the audience is, if you want to know if you love yourself, there's these 3 steps that I personally believe that you must take in order to discover if you love yourself. You need to be honest. When you're honest with yourself, self-awareness comes next. And you can be honest with yourself and go, I am these things and I know I'm these things. And once you're self-aware, then you can know what you need to do from there. The third thing is that once you're self-aware, then you can learn to appreciate yourself and have self-appreciation, because it's important to realize that you are worthy of these things, as LaToya and Laura and Stephanie and Dawn have all pointed out. We're all worthy of these things. We're not entitled to these things. So if we're not acting right, we'll know if we're being honest with ourselves. We'll know if we're not acting right, and we'll know we're not receiving what we're supposed to be because of our actions. So we can change those actions. So I'd say honesty, self-awareness, and self-appreciation are 3 steps that you can take today to begin loving yourself and be well on your way to loving yourself and growing as each day goes along. And one last thing, don't allow other people to tell you where you're at. Don't let other people go, you haven't changed. See, you haven't changed, because they're not going to see the change, because the change is gradual. And and people expect immediate change like that. Like, you go, oh, I'm going to set out to love myself. And then the next day they go, well, see what you said about yourself? You don't love yourself. You're never going to change. Don't believe that nonsense. Believe in yourself. That's the best thing you can do. So again, thank you for everything, ladies. It truly was a blessing to be here with you today.
Thank you, Kurt.
Thank you all so much. This has been such an awesome inspiration conversation. I learn so much every time. And I just want to leave you with, be your best self, because only you can do that. And, if no one told you today they love you, I'm telling you now, I love you. We love you. We want you to love yourself. So if there's anything we can ever do to help you, reach out to us at the www.Soulful Conversations. We'd love to have you as a sponsor on our show or a guest. So sending you all my love. Have a blessed day.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you all.
Thank you.